Hey all, welcome to Share Trek. This is Raj here. Friends, it's my pleasure to have Stephen J Gatto, Chairman and CEO of Amilyfe Biosciences LLC. Stephen has had an illustrious career in both public, private partnership, and policy sector, as well as an entrepreneur in the biotech vertical. Amino acids, as I understand, are the building blocks of life, and Amilyfe Biosciences has amino acid-based products that perform an important role in patient care. Today, we have an opportunity to talk to Stephen about Amilyfe and its products and the objectives, and learn more about their potential in patient care and related business opportunities. It's a privilege to have Stephen on our channel. Welcome, Stephen.
Thanks, Raj. I appreciate it very much.
Stephen, our audience consists of gene technology investors, and we have a separate channel that caters to the latest in HIV therapy. I believe Amilyfe is relevant to both the audiences. And with that in mind, I would like to ask you some questions so that our audience can better understand Amilyfe and how it relates to them and their objectives, whether it is for investment or for health.
Fantastic.
Can you please briefly provide a profile of Amilyfe Biosciences LLC and the market that it addresses?
As I mentioned, Amilyfe Biosciences recently acquired the assets of Intrinsic Bioscience, and this represented a strategic shift to bolster our position at Amilyfe as a leader in biotechnology with particular focus on therapeutic nutrition. The acquisition brings in over 180 different patents and trademarks, including an iconic brand, Enterade, which is a first-of-a-kind product that has been developed to address the side effects of chemotherapy and radiation therapies. Today, that product is in over 700 different clinics and doing quite well. In addition to that, a suite of comprehensive licenses and a variety of other products and a very, very robust product pipeline. The company enhances its technology platform through the use of biomapping and electrophysiology. We've developed an expertise that we think is second to none, and this helps us innovate the realm of amino acid combinations and their impact on human health. And I think it's important to make a footnote here. While we all know that amino acids are critically important in developing all cell functions in the body, what people did not know and did not appreciate is that precise combinations of these amino acids can have a life-altering effect in many different instances, and or can amplify to the extent that the body has an illness or an element that needs to effectively be recorrected and what have you. And so these amino acids are very, very powerful as a health tool. And the great thing about it is they're all natural, and they work with the body and leverage the body's own ability to do repair. So Amilyfe is renowned for its pioneering work in this area of biomapping and electrophysiology. We did this in partnership with the University of Florida. The founder of this company, Dr. Sadasivan Vidyasagar, is a former gastrosurgeon and renowned for his work as an electrophysiologist. The company benefited by an early grant from NASA and the National Space Biomedical Research Labs, which provided a $40 million grant early on to study the effects of long-duration space missions, with a particular focus on the impact that deep space has on astronauts, both in terms of their GI structure, nutrient absorption, so forth and so on. And it was really those learnings that created and cascaded into the platform that we have today. And what's great about this is that fueled breakthroughs in GI health, in hydration, in optimization of skin care. We're also doing a number of things on the therapeutic side. So we were able to extend the technology platform's applications into a number of different arenas. And we don't only excel here on the product side, but we excel in really the development of these formulations through a really highly developed, highly advanced biotechnology suite. We've created a hybrid business model where the company can focus on a licensing campaign and also building brands in areas where we think that we can be disruptive. We can diversify our revenue streams as a result of being able to go out and license. The best way I can describe what we do is our formulations that we create with these novel amino acids become the Intel chip that can go into someone else's product and make it better, make it faster, actually provide for claims that might otherwise not be had. So we have a great B2B play, a B2C play, and that really fundamentally drives the core of our business. Capitalizing on a growing demand for scientifically and clinically validated natural product solutions that offer substantial growth and innovation, allows for tremendous market expansion, product expansion, brand development, and so forth. And so, as I said, we're pretty excited about where we are.
Yeah, that seems really a broad-based answer that I got, because my second question was going to be the strategic importance of acquiring intrinsic, but you have already answered that. So it seems that there's plenty of scope for a whole wide range of people and your different ABC business models. Like you are saying, it's like a plug-in or an Intel chip. So that's exciting from a business model perspective. It can give incremental revenues, and you can have separate revenue streams, which can all culminate and give financial strength to the enterprise. So can you please briefly explain the Enterade Advanced Oncology, the IBSD, and Exceed with the heat defense technology? These are the three products that I found on the website, which are very interesting, and their respective usage. I'm thinking that as they are already available on Amazon and distributors on healthcare institutions, those people might be interested in knowing more about these three solutions and related business opportunities.
Raj, it's a great question. So yeah, I'll walk through each of the three different programs. And the wonderful thing about our platform is we have over 50 targeted programs, both in the consumer health, and the therapeutic side. And I want to take an opportunity to kind of show the dimensionality that is represented here. But first, let's talk about Enterade. So Enterade is a product that was developed specifically to address the known side effects that happen to a cancer patient. So for example, most of us know that when you are going through cancer or cancer treatments, you tend to lose weight. And the reason that occurs is that the absorptive mechanisms in the gut start to shrink. Right. And when you have treatments like chemo or radiation, they shrink even faster and they don't recollect themselves. As a result of that, you lose the ability to absorb nutrients that you need to continue at healthy weights. The other thing that happens, which is very significant, is we get what's called an increase in the permeability of the gut. So you can imagine that in the gut, we have all of these little dams that stay nice and tight, and they only allow certain things to go through. But when there's an insult, like from radiation or chemo, that dam breaks and opens up. And when that opens up, we have a tremendous immune response and an inflammatory response. And so people get sick, people don't feel right, they're fatigued. And so not only are they not eating and absorbing the nutrients that they need, but now they have this inflammatory response that cascades through the system. And then to top all of that off, what ends up happening is that these chemo agents, therapy agents, or radiation, they tend to stimulate diarrhea. And so more than 60% of the 1.7 million patients per year that are diagnosed with cancer end up with some form of diarrhea. And staying on treatment plan becomes one of the key and most important things for the success of beating cancer. And so if the symptoms become so overwhelming that you're unable to stay on it, that's a disruption, and that is not good for outcome. And so what Enterade did, and what we do with it, is the formulation goes after the ability to restore the efficacy of the absorptive mechanisms in the gut. And it tightens this barrier that I talked about a moment ago. And then lastly, we control the diarrhea as a symptom, and the nausea and the vomiting that goes with it. So it is a quality of life opportunity that every cancer patient has the ability to assuage the symptoms and feel better, fight harder, and be in a position where they can continue on their treatment regimen as they need to do so. We've now engaged with a number of phenomenal groups, Baptist, Mass General, Dana-Farber, who've done multiple clinical studies that prove the efficacy of this program. So we're really excited about that. And It's actually a good segue, Raj, if I could. I know that you have some listeners that are interested with HIV.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is that HIV patients go through the very same types of things. So 40% of all HIV patients will experience some type of enteropathy associated with their GI. And as a result of that, what's happening is you see that intestinal damage that I just talked about a moment ago with a cancer patient happens to someone with HIV. So not only do you have this loss of absorptive capability that causes malabsorption, malnutrition, you also have this dual effect where you have this permeability issue. And so what Enterade does is it works by protecting and restoring the integrity of the gut during the radiation or chemo, and then it helps prevent symptomatology that comes as a result of those activities, like diarrhea, like nausea. And those are the same things that we see when intestinal damage is affected in someone with HIV. So you can see that there's really a broad swath of opportunity and application for the science. And really what it comes down to is we are going after human health opportunities where we're allowing the body to repair itself the way that it naturally does. We're just happening to give it a boost, amplification, if you will, and that's what drives this.
That's amazing. Now that I understand the role of ORS during chemotherapy, my next question to you is whether you would be targeting opportunities created by sickle cell disease therapies such as Casgevy and Lyfgenia. These are from the companies that we track on our genomics channel, the most recent gene therapy for curing sickle cell disease and potentially beta thalassemia, where they have lymphodepletion before the treatment can be administered, which is basically chemotherapy. And would that be a new market segment, or have you already started targeting it?
Yeah, so we haven't targeted it, and it is an interesting market segment. And I think that what we know is that radiation and chemo, regardless, has an effect on the GI tract. And then there's a cascading effect of health issues that come from it. Now, whether or not we can go after sickle cell as an amino acid response treatment as a therapeutic or not, I don't know the answer to that. I do know that there are companies that have been working on it in the past. And I also will tell you that what we believe is that amino acids, if utilized correctly, have the ability to act as what are called cell signalers or chaperones, right? Or in their own right, they can cause a balanced effect in the body. Right. Sometimes they can be depleted. Other times, what happens is they scavenge one another.
Right.
And the great thing about our IP and what we've proven as part of our work is that if you took 10 amino acids for an existing disease and you just arbitrarily put them together in a bucket, 9 times out of 10, they won't work.
Right.
And so we bring it in as foodstuffs in a manner where all of them come in and we really have no rhyme or reason. And the reason we were successful in getting so many patents is we could demonstrate that if you took 4 amino acids and you came up with the right combination, it would work. But if you add a 5th, it stops the treatment, right? And so forth and so on. And so the key to success, as I look at it, for any number of diseases, is going to be able to scan and target key biomarkers that we know certain amino acids have an affinity for. And then we can further use our Maestro AI technology to map where we would go quickly and really turn this into a potential therapeutic. And as a segue here, we haven't talked about it. And as an example, we started by studying the GI tract.
Right.
And because the GI tract and the cells in the GI are very similar to what you see in lung. And when you think about being able to treat diarrhea, diarrhea is a secretory and an absorption problem. Cystic fibrosis, COPD, and asthma are inflammatory diseases that occur within cell structures that are very similar. And so just recently, we demonstrated a proof of principle where we could increase the flow rate in one of the worst classes of cystic fibrotic tissues, and we were able to restore it. Now, this is very amazing work, but it's incredibly powerful, and it drives back to the power of these amino acids and what they can do.
This is amazing. Yeah, this is amazing, Steve. One of the things I would just mention, of course, you know your business area very well, but from my study of our gene therapy areas, both CRISPR Therapeutics as well as Bluebird Bio, they have set up what is called as OTCs or ATCs, authorized treatment centers. These are around 60 or 70 across US by each company, and they are growing those numbers. That's where the patients will come for the treatment. Now, those are the points where I think they'll definitely find use for the AA-ORS. And those companies have already negotiated payments with various agencies.
Yeah.
So that's something that I suppose your company could check out, because
That's a great idea, Raj.
yeah,
That's
there's a
it's a
great
great
opportunity
idea.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think what's really important to highlight, we'll talk about and contrast IBSD in a moment. When you think about oncology, uh, you need to engage both the doctors, but more importantly, you need to engage the dietitians and the nutritionists,
right.
because they are the front line of patient care and they are the ones that the patients talk to.
Yes.
And so as a result of that, making sure that you have great HCP connections and you have a really strong medical education component to your business means that you can now create a scenario where you have individuals that are programmatically or formulaically putting these into their clinics, their hospitals, and otherwise. The Baptist just recently released an abstract study that they ran on their own, and they demonstrated that they could save tens and thousands of dollars per patient by virtue of putting them on Enterade as a prophylactic treatment, because they didn't have to come in for IV, they didn't have to come in, for additional hospitalizations and so forth. And most importantly, they stayed on treatment. Now, it's
Amazing.
those types of things that become critically important here, right? And
Yes.
I want to contrast this a little bit with IBSD. So I'd like to believe that Amilyfe is becoming the gut master, right? We've, I think, developed an understanding of how the gastrointestinal systems work, opportunities to address things like diarrhea, IBS, constipation. We have programs for iron deficient anemia and so forth. And all of these are built off of a core understanding of what happens in the gut. IBSD affects about 22% of the population in the United States. So it's a very large number.
A very
Of
big
that,
one.
about half are treated on a day-to-day basis. And today's treatments and today's methodologies for treatment tend to be nothing more than peppermint oil, which assuages some symptoms. That's the active ingredient. We went out and we did a clinical study with the help of the folks at Walmart and a CDMO. And we brought forward 160 patients who have IBSD. And we provided them with a product that was formulated specifically for these patients. And what we saw in this trial was a better than 85% reduction in symptoms, gas, bloating, pain, and diarrhea. And so here is a product, again, that demonstrates an all-natural plant-based approach, utilizing the body's own ability to repair and rejuvenate itself. And the net effect is that we can arrest a situation. And if you don't know anything about IBSD, it's one of those afflictions that causes people to hide sometimes
Yeah,
because
I've seen socially they are very uncomfortable, and it has a big impact on their life. So, Stephen, are you trying or making any efforts to get WHO to alter the definition of ORS to include amino acid based ORS in the list? Will that
yes,
open new opportunities for Amilyfe?
I'm glad you asked that. The answer is yes. We are talking to WHO, and for anyone who knows WHO, they are not going to stand up and spell out any one particular product. They're not here to endorse or support one company over another company. But what they are going to do is talk about the effects that amino acids have or rice-based programs have and so forth, and include them in the definition of the WHO oral rehydration solution. And I think it's important, Raj, to make a distinction that what we've learned, and really part of this is the regulatory framework with which we play in. Oral rehydration is a key component in any disease state, certainly and especially if you have diarrhea, because you become deficient or deficit electrolytes and other components that are critically important. And so the Enterade product, the oncology product, the IBSD product, and I'll talk a little bit about another product that we have in a moment, those products are geared to become ultra hydrating products that have been proven to be superior to glucose-based hydration products, whether they be sports drinks or other ORS programs. We've tested against Pedialyte, Gatorade, Powerade, Electrolyte. Every leading program out there has the same effective formulations. They put sugar and electrolytes. Yeah. And about 50, 60 years ago, that was the science. We know that an amino acid has 8 times the carrying capability of electrolytes compared to glucose. That means that I can get you hydrated faster and longer.
Smaller quantity and longer. And also it's more, I think it more of the current solution, ORS solutions that are there presently in the market, like Gatorade and all. It's all a branding exercise. Brand recall gives more penetration, whereas the formulation might be identical except for a change in flavor here and there, change in color, I suppose. But amino acids seem interesting. You had mentioned about your formidable suite of patents and IP. You also mentioned like a chip, your combinations of amino acids for various purposes can be incorporated into other products. So how do interested parties get to engage with Amilyfe for licensing?
That's a great deal. So we've published on this. We have a partnership with Reckitt Benckiser as an example. One of our formulas is a true oral rehydration solution, meaning that it is intended to specifically go after a patient who is dehydrated. Right. It is consistent with, in all respects, the WHO standard for electrolytes and so forth. The one deviation is that we have no glucose. And what is important to point out is that glucose is the carrier of an electrolyte. Right. If you take glucose out of the mix, the only other opportunity to carry electrolytes are amino acids. And as we've established, all amino acids are not the same. So what we did is we patented those amino acids that carry the most amount of electrolytes, put them in a formulation. We've now developed an algorithm that can determine the exact combination of electrolytes, amino acids for a price with a flavor and so forth. And we have now patented a suite of technologies and formulations that cover anything that would improve greater than 50% up to 100%. And I say that to you because it's critically important for everyone to understand that there's a real dynamic to the specificity of these amino acids, these combinations, working or not working. And there's almost no workaround. So the great part about this is the following. Imagine, if you will, I can take a water. A water hydrates you, we all know this, but it's passive. It takes time. What the amino acids do is, because they're non-glucose and because they're non-caloric, it provides a glucose-free way of increasing the rate of absorption. And in contrast to water, it's very rapid. And then further than that, if you talk about a sports drink that is laden with glucose, we're able to take advantage of the fact that we have no glucose, number one, so you don't have that sugar rush and so forth. And some will say you need it for energy, but the reality is you do not. This is about recovery. It's about rehydration, right? It's not about eating food while you're out playing soccer.
Right.
Now, at the end of the day, what's great about this is I have now a position to develop the very first and only active hydrating water. right? So I can take an amino acid, I can put it in water, and now all of a sudden it is doing what glucose was doing before
Right.
without the calories. I can substitute the amino acids for glucose, and I can make a better product that lasts longer and is faster absorbed. Now, this is where it gets really exciting. And Raj, we talked a little bit about the science, and you heard me talk about barrier function and permeability.
Yes. Yes.
The greatest thing is that all of us, if we're outside working in the heat, let's say you're a gentleman working outside on the roads in a 90-degree weather. You're working on a pipeline in the middle of a
Right.
field, or you're a sports person playing tennis or soccer and so forth. We all saw it, for example, at World Cup, right? We saw
Yes.
the devastation that heat had. What ends up happening to the human body is exertional heat stress increases this gap that I talked about, the permeability of the gut. That cascades into inflammation. As I said, there's an immune response, but it puts in fatigue and lowers your performance. So we went to Monash University. We did a clinical study, and we proved that the utilization of our formula as a glucose-free sports drink or water, that we could prevent the deterioration of the gut under exertional heat stress. We call it heat defense. At the end of the day, imagine you have a product that you can give to your young child who is going out on the soccer field to do their double sessions or their triple sessions, where you know it's high heat, and we all have experience with young children that fall down onto the field because of heat stress.
Yes.
If you had a product that was sugar-free, all natural, rapidly rehydrates your child, and has the potential to protect them, I would suggest that's a better solution for today's children. And so we're combining this notion of hydration with GI health, and we're putting together natural solutions that can really manage very, very positive outcomes. And then we spend a tremendous amount of time and money making sure that we have the right clinical studies to support the claims that go along with the business.
This is amazing because right now there is a division between the ones which are glucose based and the ones which are rice based. But with your solution, they don't have to worry whether the
That's right.
patient is diabetic or not. So it's a universal solution which can be used across the board. And I'm pretty sure you can add flavors for the people who are looking for something to have flavor. So there's so many opportunities to address various segments like kids or young people who are on sports. It could be a sporty brand. And for the others, it could be a health brand and so on and so forth. So this is amazing. And because you have patent, you want to make sure that you get market dominance and return on investment before the patent expires. So what kind of investors would be able to avail of this opportunity to engage with you? And what are you looking at?
Yeah, Raj, that's a great question. I think as a company, we have enjoyed the ability to attract some very significant investors, traditionally sector-specific private equity or venture. We have a couple of strategic partnerships as well, and we continue to do so. So when we talk about our partnering, and I'll use Reckitt Benckiser as an example, we provided them with a solution. They're responsible for going and marketing, distributing the product, and we get paid a royalty as a result of that. Investors can be companies like Reckitt that are specific to a given product, or they can look at our platform in generality. We are structured in a very interesting way that allows the business to either spin off, IPO, or otherwise sell or merge various aspects of our business while maintaining the principal core asset at the top.
Yes.
So what's exciting for investors, right, is they can invest in a multi-product opportunity that has the ability to generate near-term cash flow through licensing, while it reinvests in brand building in areas where we can be disruptive and create products that currently have no, or we can create products that can address areas that have no solution. So like oncology, like HIV, and so forth. And I think from an investor perspective, that hybrid classification provides more certainty, risk abatement. We're an asset-light business. We don't have any unique specialty associated with manufacturing of our amino acids. They're globally available. What we really did is we've got the mousetrap that goes around them to say, here's the right ones to use.
That's right. So maybe in the future, probably there might be a potential IPO. You're not ruling that out. And that's where our audience would be very keen to follow Amilyfe and see how it goes. And if there's an IPO or something coming up, that's where I think our retail investor audience might be able to participate.
Sure.
So yeah. So thanks, Stephen, for your time and explaining these things so nicely and helping us understand the potential of Amilyfe ORS products. On behalf of our viewers and the channel, I'm wishing you the very best, and I'm hoping to speak to you again in the future. So
great,
all the
Raj,
best.
thanks so much. I did want to make one point, if you'll indulge me.
Yes,
and
please.
it's a human health issue. And I
Yes.
think, given your platform, I think it's a great opportunity to really put it out there. About 15 years ago, the Gates Foundation really started to explore things like chronic diarrhea. And they very quickly learned that it wasn't just about diarrhea. And so there's a characterization now called environmental enteropathy.
Oh.
And you heard me talk a little bit about the impact that chemotherapy and radiation has on the gut and how it draws down or reduces the absorptive mechanisms. Today, all over the world, we have a crisis. There's over 444 million children that suffer from stunting or wasting. And this is not an issue attributed to lack of foodstuffs. It's an issue that is directly related to malabsorption. So we give these children food, they're not absorbing it because they have this environmental bombardment that causes a deterioration and a chronic effect on their GI tract. And so what we believe we can do is we have developed a formulation. We just published the Lancet study, which I think you know of. That was a 312 child study in Bangladesh at the WHO International Center for Diarrheal Disease. We chose that location because they are the preeminent testers of these types of programs. These are kids that come in with devastating diarrhea or malaria, and they have to be treated. The result of that study demonstrated that our formulation reduced the duration of diarrhea by 7 hours. It also reduced stool volume by 15%. Now, what's really important is the following. We also then went and did a study with a world-renowned medical doctor, Jeffrey Donowitz, again in Bangladesh, and he focuses on children that have malabsorption defects that translate into malnutrition and equal wasting and stunting. And we have an opportunity to do better. We have an opportunity to take these programs, the formulas that we have now developed, and get them to these kids where we've now proven that it's safe and efficacious. And we believe that we can provide them with the capability to absorb the nutrients that they need and put them on the road to better growth and better outcomes. And my hope, Raj, with your exposure and so forth, that we can draw attention to this critically important part of GI health. It's a global crisis. It needs to be fixed. India, in particular, has over 200 million children that are affected in massive ways.
Yes.
So this is an issue now that we can fix. And we, as a company, and me personally, and Dr. Vidyasagar personally, the founder of this company, have made a commitment to find a way to get these products to these kids so that we can solve this crisis.
That's
so
amazing.
I appreciate your indulging me. To me, I would ask you, look up environmental enteropathy. You will be amazed at how devastating it is and how important it is to fix.
Oh, this is amazing information. Yeah, this for any company to invest efforts in that part of the world is a very big deal, especially to address the factors affecting children, because they are the future of these countries, and they are the ones who are going to build the country and bring it out of poverty and all those systemic disadvantages that they have. So really, thanks for that. And I think the audience in our HIV channel would be able to appreciate that, because most of them are from Asia and Africa, those areas, because that's where HIV is the hardest. and some are from Brazil and South America and other places. So I think this is the right place to send that information. And I hope that your company gets amazing success. And
Thank
on
you.
behalf of the investor side, I hope that we see an IPO sometime soon and our investors can participate in that. And on behalf of the HIV channel, I would say that these kind of developments are something that a good portion of the viewers would be very interested in, especially the ones who are very conscious about their health and who are looking for a more organic solution as compared to a chemical solution, because amino acid is as close as it comes to being organic as compared to glucose-based ORS. So thanks a lot, Stephen, and I hope we'll speak again. And I wish you and your company the very best.
Raj, thank you so much. All the best. It's great talking.